Hello, and welcome to Books and Beyond with LBPL, a collaboration between KLBP and Longbeach Public Library. Thank you for joining us. Each episode will share staff book picks, hear from local creators, explore local Long Beach history, and learn about upcoming library events. So, let's get started. This is Books and Beyond with LBPL on 99.1 KLBP FM, Long Beach Public Radio.
This is a special segment called Voices from the Community. It's where we highlight makers, creatives, artists, just people who have like really interesting stories around our city, and we want to give them a spotlight, a chance to share a little bit about themselves, their story, all of that. Josh, Edrick, thank you too for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. There's like so many places to begin, but why don't we start with like the first time I met you guys? I remember seeing you both book time in our sound studio here, and I'm just curious, like, how did you first two meet, and how did you start like making music together?
You want to talk?
You can talk. Go ahead.
We made like playing basketball.
Yeah.
And like Ocean one.
Cherry Beach.
Cherry Beach.
Oh yeah.
Cherry Beach. They used to have a basketball court over there, so
Yeah, it was
made like around there.
It was random, to be honest. Like, now like we super close, And then from there, like built the chemistry with music. It was fun, honestly.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I know Josh, like, you seem like the kind of guy where you could just strike up a conversation with anybody. Every time I see you, you're like talking to somebody. Like, is that how it happened? You just went to Edrick?
Yeah, I just went out to him.
Yeah.
Tell him about how I talk to you.
Man, he told me like something random, I think. And then, but my first thing I remember he told me, he's like, you want to play sevens or something like that. And that's just a game like you shoot 3-pointers.
Around the world.
Yeah, around the world.
Yeah, right.
And that was like the first thing ever. Yeah. And after that, like, probably didn't see him for like another 4 weeks. Then I seen him again, and it just over time, Then recently, like last year, I didn't see him for like, I probably didn't see him like for a year and a half. Like, I forgot about Josh.
Man.
Then randomly, he just came out of nowhere again. Like, it was crazy.
Man.
And ever since then, I've probably been with him this whole year, almost like every day.
Yeah.
It's fun,
cool,
though.
man.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So did you guys just start sharing music together and like influences, and is that how your journey started together with making music?
Yeah, like I feel like at first it was kind of hard for us because we were like both had different sounds, so it was hard to like incorporate those things together. And there was a lot of like times like it would get annoying, like especially we come here 2 hours, you're like sometimes the word makes you feel like you got to do a song today. So when I would be with him, I felt like I had to do a song like right away. And him, he was more like, I don't feel it today. Like, I'm just let it come naturally. And me, I had to learn that like you can't always force, art. So like, so it took a while, honestly.
I can relate to that.
Man, it took a while for us to make a song too, because we didn't know how to make a song. Like place the hook. Like when he started getting better at his, he learned how to place the hook. Yeah. And he taught me how to where to place the hook.
Yeah.
So he taught me that too, like where to place the hook in the verses.
Yeah.
Like it was tight. Like when he started picking up, he showed me. That's why I kind of like picked up on it, like, cause I had the ability like to write good songs, but I didn't know where to place it at.
Yeah.
Place the hooks in the verses, but he kind of showed me that.
Yeah. And with that, it simplifies it. Like once you have a hook, then you go verse, and then hook, and then it just makes it so quick.
Yeah.
It gives you a topic to write about.
Cause I got a lot of stuff to write about. I'm super great about thinking anything.
So at what point did you guys realize you were good at making music? Because when I listen to your music, it's like clear it comes natural to you guys. I know, Edrick, you have like a lot of like melodies in the music.
Yeah.
Josh, you do a lot of like a lot of the rapping together, and it's like a good combination.
Yeah. I feel like it took me a while to like see how good I was.
Yeah.
Cause I didn't even want to make music in the first place. Like,
Oh, really?
I never wanted to. Like, I just would play basketball, and I had friends that made music. But what like made me do that was like they would stop inviting me to go make songs. So I was like, man, I gotta show them how good I could be, And I just would work at it so long. And then eventually, like as the time went on, a lot of people would be like, man, this is a good song. This is like that. But I still felt like something was missing until recently.
Better.
Yeah. I say like the past year, that's when I realized.
Same way.
Yeah.
Same way,
Yeah.
I always knew I could write, but it just like just making the songs. Like I said, making the songs. Like when I realized I was good, it's probably like I guess like when Buttercup came out, I started to realize that the world could see that I'm good. But I always knew I was pretty like gifted at writing and stuff.
Yeah.
My Reese's. Shot it so sweet. Just like a buttercup. Shot it so special. Shot it so bright. Shot it so nice. Shot it so kind. Yeah. Just like a Reese's. Shot it so sweet.
Yeah. It just always came naturally.
Yeah. It's about like if it was sounding good to others, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Something sounds good to me, it might not sound good to the others and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But like that, it was just like, I guess like compliments. Like, man, this sounds tight, man. This sounds, you know what I'm saying? Because you gotta break that fear too of like showing people your art. Because you can be very, very critical of yourself, and it can block you from like your creativity. Because you're afraid what others gonna say about you, but you gotta show them because you gotta break that fear.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. I know myself, so I'm an artist, and I'm like my own worst critic. I'm like super critical of myself. I'm kind of like a perfectionist, you know. So I have like that critical eye because I always want to be better. And I try to look at it from the perspective of like a fan or an onlooker, you know, like, oh, how could this be better? Like,
man,
you know,
I be thinking like that too. Like, imagine so many like people that like perfectionists and people that was afraid to do it. Imagine how many like stuff we could have created, like inspired, but the ones that didn't do it, they held back and they didn't never get to like show their creativity because they was afraid of like judgment and stuff and like self-doubt. They held back. Now they'll never get to see their creativity, and they can't inspire others to be great too, because they held back. I'll just be thinking that like, dang, I know it's somebody out there better than Michael Jackson, you know. But it's just like they never go that far. They never push past that limit.
Yeah. You seem like a kind of guy that like when you feel something, you do it.
Man, when I do, I gotta do it. Yeah. Because when I feel like this year we drop albums and stuff, but I feel like that's just that journey. That was just that journey. Like next year we gonna drop even more greater stuff because we're gonna be past that limit, like that first limit. Mm-hmm. So we gonna be on a higher level, you know, to create better. That's why when I feel something, I just automatically do it because I got to, because that's what my creative thoughts say right now. It's gonna go higher though as we keep going.
So Josh, you describe your purpose as to create music that heals, uplifts, and awakens. Like, why is that important to you, man?
It is, because like it's like when I listen to it like heal me too. Like when I listen to it, it make me feel good, put me in a good vibration. Mm-hmm. I be feeling like the world need that, you know, because everybody's so sad nowadays. You got a lot of sad artists now like making low vibration music, talking about they basically like they lower vibration stuff, like what people did to them, or they talking about who hurt them, or something like that. You know, I try to like uplift people, and get them on their positive energy, their positive frequency. Because when you listen to something, it's like connected to your brain. What you hear, you feel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then so I try to do that, like uplift people always. Even when I talk to people, I try to do that, uplift people.
Yeah, you do have that energy. I feel like when you come into a room.
Yeah,
you're like the type of dude who like kind of uplifts the room, you know. You have that like big, I don't know, that big energy.
Put boundaries on it too. Sometimes be, you know what I'm saying. Some people find me annoying too. I gotta deal with people like that. Like some people find me annoying, you know what I'm saying. But just like a balance, you know what I'm saying. I gotta still shine my light.
So Edrick, you described a similar purpose in like supporting youth affected by everyday violence. Making an impact in your neighborhood. Like, why is that important to you?
I feel like it's important to me because that's like where I come from. You know, when I was growing up, I dealt with a lot of those things as well. So like being able to be like the voice for all of them and like showing that you can make a way, and it don't always gotta be a gangway or going down the wrong path. It could also be something different. You know, because now it's like everybody just wants to be like gang members and all that. Yeah. But it's okay to just be yourself Instead, like, you could be the best person just being yourself. You don't have to be like this or like that. You could still be cool, awesome, respected by everybody when you yourself. So I feel like that's important as well.
Man, the kids love them, man. The youth love them. Stay with some kids.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Man.
Yeah, because you work with Parks and Rec, right? And I see you out there all the time. Are you making a lot of connections with the kids out there and building relationships?
I feel like, honestly, I think so. And plus, some of those kids, I know them from, like, where I grew up at. Yeah. So sometimes they just come and visit me right there.
Man.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm like, wow, like, that's crazy.
I feel like the kids know me because of him, because I hang out with him. Like, if I had never met them, probably never know me. I just know me from
Edrick. Cool, man.
And, like, even right there at the park, too, like, we met a lot of, like, talented people do music as well, like, that come here. And it trips me out because it just showed how, like, much potential this park has, you know?
Yeah.
And how much better it could be. But sometimes, like, those people just need, like, encouragement and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, Edrick, I think, do you see yourself as, like, a mentor to some of these kids that you're around?
I don't know. I feel like some people tell me that. But sometimes I just feel like I'm myself. So I feel like, I'm pretty sure, like, there was a kid one time, he told me, he's like, I want to be like you when I grow up. And I was like, you know, it shocked me because that's like, I want to be like me, like you could be better than me, you know? But I thought that was, like, beautiful, like, when he told me that, like, that was amazing because I never thought of it like that. I never seen it like that. I was just always just being myself. So when he told me that, I was like, well, I guess I do have an impact, you know? Yeah. So I got to use that for a good way. Because I could show him a whole bad way, but I got to show him the best way I can, good way, you know? Different ways, honestly. Yeah.
Right on, man. I love it. So it seems like the song Push really reflects these, like, uplifting and motivating intentions. So let's play a snippet of that.
Let's do it.
I keep on pushing. I keep on going. I keep on grinding. I hear the commotion. I'm looking for motion. Yeah. I keep on pushing. I keep on grinding. Every little day. Every little day. I know that we straight. I gotta go do it. I know they gon' hate. Every little day. No, I push through the day. Yeah. I keep on going. Yeah. I keep on pushing. Yeah.
So that was Push that we just heard. Can you tell me a little bit about what that song means to you guys?
Man, I literally made that song outside the library, right outside where the park correction people work at. And then so I just heard the beat. And instantly I hopped on it because it, like, inspired me. It gave me, like, chills and stuff. So I was just like, man, I just got to think of a good hook. So as I just kept listening to it, I just started saying words. And I was coloring too. I was just coloring. I was saying words in my head, and I just heard Push. So I just went with that hook. I was like, I keep on pushing. I keep on going. I keep on grinding. You know what I'm saying? And then at the time I used to be running a lot too. So I be wanting to make songs like that to inspire people to push themselves through their darkest time and their pain and stuff. You know?
Yeah.
So I thought of that song, it, like, instantly inspired me. Like, I instantly thought of it like that. Like, it came from push to, like, uplifting to, like, give my heart out my chest. I said that in that lyric, in that song. And, like, I was just like, my heart made it go. I don't need to flex, you know what I'm saying? Because I got a good soul. Like, what I got flex for. You know what I'm saying? So that song very, like...
That's awesome, man. I love that. Is that something that, like, comes from inside of you guys, or more like outside influence, like this wanting to, like, push yourself and, like, you know, stay motivated? Like, where does that, like, fire come from for you guys?
I feel like it comes from, like, my life and how I grew up. You know, it always, like, that song right there, it tells me, like, always just keep going, keep pushing every day, you know? Like, what I say, I was like, gotta push through that morning, gotta go in the storm, you know? Even through the hardest times, you still gotta, like, push no matter what you face, you know? So, yeah.
Man, you say I gotta sleep on the floor too.
Every day, you know.
Every day you got pushed because I sleep on the floor. Like, it's hard.
A lot of people will let those things, you know, hinder them and their growth, but me, I see it in a positive way. I learned to accept it and have gratitude for the things I have. Yeah, honestly, for real. So, like, it's amazing. That song, when he showed me that song, I was at work. I was downstairs. He made that song outside in the park, like.
Outside in the park?
Yeah, like, he was just right there. He's like, Edrick, I got a song for you. I was like, all right. I was like, let me hear it. Boom, and we just made it right there.
Made it right there.
Had like 10 minutes left. Yeah.
Sometimes something's in the air and you just feel that inspiration.
Yeah.
Huh? There's no explaining it, huh? It just comes from.
Yeah.
Man.
And what I like about it too is just like we do it off the phone and just the regular headphones.
Man.
So it's just so easy. Like when we feel something, just boom, just do it right then and there. We don't gotta wait, pay studio time, or go 3 hours. You know, we just do it right then and there.
That's when we first started doing it. We was like, man, we need a studio. We need Pro Tools. We need all this. But we just stayed focused on what we had at the time, because we was like, man, we can't afford all that.
Yeah, we learned just to accept it, you know?
No, accept what you got. You can do it with what you got.
It's like one time, like a quote I seen, it said, limitation breeds creativity. So it's just like we found a way to work with what we got and making the best out of it, you know?
Yeah.
No excuse at all, honestly.
Yeah. That's super inspirational. I think a lot of people get held back because they think exactly what you said, Josh. Like, I gotta have the latest software, have the best mics, and you guys are just doing it like on the fly with your phones.
Having fun too, man.
Having fun.
A lot of them songs we be laughing, making, like having fun. You know what I'm saying? Smiling, making them, because that's what it's about. Like having fun, enjoying the moment.
The process of it.
That's cool.
Enjoying your creativity.
When we made Buttercup, we made that song like at Mother's Market in the parking lot.
Oh yeah.
I made it here first though.
Oh yeah, he made it here and we finished the rest over there.
Yeah, I made that song at the park too, outside. Buttercup, outside here. And then I laid the hook down. I was singing it all day. He was like, "What you singing?" And I showed him and stuff.
Yeah.
It was the same thing. It was shot, but
oh, that's cool, man.
That's our first music video to that song though.
Oh really?
Yeah, that's our first music video. That song, Buttercup.
Hi, I'm Jeff Whalen, local history librarian here at the Billie Jean King Main Library in Long Beach. And today, we're going to be going back to the 70s, talking about the legendary Pike Mummy, the wax dummy in the amusement park funhouse that turned out to be the all-too-real mummified corpse of an actual person. A fact that was only discovered when a film crew came to the Pike to shoot an episode of The $6 Million Man in 1976, and the mummy's arm fell off when a crew member tried to move it. And not only did the wax dummy turn out to be an actual person, but the person turned out to be a Wild West train robber shot dead by a sheriff's posse in 1911. Whoa, is any of this true? Brother, it all is. Joining me today is Josh Sanchez, Teen Services Librarian here at the main library. What's the good word, Josh?
Hanging in there, making the most of it.
Me too. Josh, had you heard of this story before?
Only when you told me about it upon being briefed for this episode.
Yeah, during our briefing.
Yeah.
It's interesting that some people know it and some people don't. There's been at least 2 books written on the subject, and there's lots of info about it on the internet. Though I must say that much of the information on the internet is super internet-y and not entirely reliable. So hopefully we'll be able to get to the bottom of this truly weird story. Okay, but first we have to back up a little and talk about the Pike. It's always this way, Josh. You always have to back up a little bit and talk about the Pike on this show. But what is the Pike, Josh?
So the Pike it's sort of like a place, but it's also a state of mind.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, for people who don't know or who want a refresher, the Pike was this big carnival amusement park type situation in downtown Long Beach that started up around 1902 and officially closed in 1979. And for a long time, it was one of Long Beach's main claims to fame. In fact, the Pike was the 5th largest amusement park in the country until Disneyland opened in the 50s. And when Disneyland opened, it ushered in a new, modern kind of amusement park experience that we're all used to now. But back in the day, the Pike had a very different vibe than Disneyland. The Pike was more of an old-timey, semi-seedy carnival-type feeling with tattoo parlors and peep shows and fortune tellers and booze and freak shows and a roller coaster that would kill people from time to time, and much else geared to appeal not only to fun-seeking locals, but also to the Pike's classic clientele of sailors on shore leave and out-of-towners looking for out-of-town thrills. It was not always family-friendly, and at one point in the 40s, the LA County District Attorney called the Pike, quote, a menace to our community and to soldiers and sailors on leave.
That sounds like a fun time.
Good times, right?
Yeah.
The Pike's grittiness, let's call it, ebbed and flowed over the years, and some people liked it and some people didn't like it. Somebody told me that some Long Beach parents would forbid their children from going to the Pike, but that certain teenagers would secretly ditch school and take the bus and go there anyway to delight in the dark allure of the place. And if my grandfather is listening, it wasn't my dad who told me that, because he definitely told me to say that he didn't do anything like that when he was a teenager, supposedly. So that was part of the Pike's charm, and also part of its decline as well, as people increasingly wanted that family-friendly Disneyland or Knott's Berry Farm experience. And when the Pike removed the Cyclone Racer roller coaster in 1968, fewer people died on it, true, but sometimes you'll read that once the Cyclone Racer was gone, it sealed the Pike's fate. And amid a lot of city politics and other factors, the Pike continued its slow-motion decline through the 70s until its inevitable demise, officially in 1979, though many feel it really ended years before. Okay, so that's a little perspective on the Pike going into the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Now, over the years, a number of movies had been filmed, at least in part at the Pike, usually in the Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello kind of direction, during the Pike's heydays in the 20s and 30s. And while movie shoots declined into the Pike's waning days of the 70s, the filming of TV shows at the Pike actually increased tremendously. Charlie's Angels, Emergency, The Hardy Boys, Starsky and Hutch, SWAT, The $6 Million Man, Cannon, The Rockford Files, Mannix, Barnaby Jones, and my personal favorite, Columbo, all shot episodes featuring the Pike in the 1970s. Josh, have you heard of any of those shows?
I would say half. And I've seen most of the ones that you've mentioned. My mom was a huge Columbo fan.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I am by proxy, I guess. It's a cool guy. Good show.
What about The $6 Million Man, the show that was filming at the Pike when they found the mummified corpse? You know that one?
I have heard of it, and it's definitely that sound effect and the intro that is most kind of present in my mind.
It's about Colonel Steve Austin, who works for NASA, and he sometimes has a mustache. And he's an astronaut, which is great. But then he crashes while test piloting some kind of experimental airplane, and he's badly hurt. Now, normally, Josh, NASA would just leave the body of a severely injured test pilot out there on the tarmac. But in this case, they decide they have the technology. They can rebuild him. So they do. Better, stronger, faster. And whenever Steve Austin uses his bionic powers, it makes this sound. And whenever he runs really fast, they indicate he's running really fast by showing him running in slow motion and making that sound. And he solves crimes, usually of the international spy variety that reflected the Cold War anxiety of the time.
Sure.
Anyway, so the $6 Million Man program goes to film an episode at the Pike. And the plot of that episode is that these evil East German scientists have infiltrated an amusement park so they can shoot down an American B-1 bomber by firing a missile out of the Tilt-A-Whirl ride. And they use the merry-go-round as a satellite dish, and they make all the rides go backwards at one point by using ion disseminator calibration. And the East Germans are running their entire operation out of the amusement park's funhouse called the Laugh in the Dark Funhouse.
It's textbook.
Now, the real Laugh in the Dark Funhouse had been in operation at the Pike since the 50s. It was one of those old-timey funhouses you might see in a movie with like creepy early animatronic clowns and creatures and things that would jump out at you and other freaky and spooky stuff. It was that kind of place. So in December 1976, the $6 Million Man crew shows up to the Pike, and they begin prepping for the shoot. And they're moving stuff around, or whatever it is they do, setting up lights and the craft service table and whatever. And while getting the interior of the Laugh in the Dark Funhouse ready for filming, one of the crew guys goes to move a wax dummy that was hanging by a noose. And while the crew guy is attempting to take the thing down, the arm of the dummy falls off. So the guy picks it up, and he figures to have to glue it back on, but before he does, he notices that it's a really weird dummy arm, in that it had what appeared to be a human bone inside it, and instead of wax or plastic or whatever on the outside, it seemed to be made of a dried beef jerky type matter. So they look at it and think about it and talk about it, and they get an off-duty police officer working security for the shoot to come over and have a look, and so he does. And then he decides to have an inspector from the Long Beach Fire Department, who's also on scene at the shoot, come have a look at it, and I guess they come to the conclusion that it's the body of a real person. It's a little unclear what happens next. Sometimes reports say that the fire inspector took the arm back to the fire station to have the paramedics look at it and determine if it's real or not. Sometimes you read that the fire department thought it would be funny to call the paramedics and say, "Come quick, there's someone at the pike suffering from extreme dehydration." Then when the paramedics come, sirens are blaring and lights are flashing, they all crack up and say, "Nah, it's just this dead guy." There's not a lot to back that story up, by the way, even though it's repeated a bunch. And I feel, Josh, that it's apocryphal.
Yeah.
In any case, nobody calls the police until the next day. But they do eventually call the police, and the police come and they get the body and they take it to the LA coroner's office, headed by none other than Dr. Thomas Noguchi, the famous coroner to the stars. And Noguchi and his people get to work trying to identify the body and everything else that's going on with this mummy. Okay, now meanwhile, the story gets out. The Long Beach Press-Telegram's headline was "Body in the Funhouse Leaves Nobody Amused." And the story's picked up by the LA Times and other papers. And nobody has any idea who this mummy could be. And here's pretty much all they know for the first couple days. It's a body, it's 5'3", it's super wrinkly, and it's a guy. They know this last part because the mummy had been hanging there in the funhouse for some 5 years, naked, covered in fluorescent red paint. Did I mention he had been painted in fluorescent red paint?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he was. But naked and, anatomically correct, as the saying goes. And Josh, I'm not at all ashamed to say that that sounds legitimately scary to me. Oh, and he doesn't have his fingers anymore because they broke off at some point.
That happens.
So who is this guy? Well, one of the original theories was that the body was that of a Long Beach man who died in 1901 and had been shot off his horse as he was riding along on his horse and was killed. Although the identity of his killer was never known, and also the identity of the man himself was never known, and also the body disappeared. So they thought that was a pretty solid theory at first. But that turned out to be a bit of a fluorescent red herring, and that joke is definitely on the bubble, Josh.
I think it's good.
Yeah, leave it in?
Yeah. I don't know.
But in a couple days, a theory started emerging. A correct theory, as it would turn out, though it was still very much unofficial at that point, that the corpse was that of a gun-toting, rootin'-tootin', turn-of-the-century Oklahoma outlaw named Elmer McCurdy. Now, depending on what report you read, Elmer was either a bloodthirsty and notorious criminal, or he was an inept and ridiculous and not famous at all criminal. His bank and train robbing career was not particularly successful or long-lived. He seemed to have a knack for either robbing the wrong train or trying to blow open a safe with nitroglycerin and accidentally blowing up the money as well. This kind of thing. When he was killed by a posse on October 7th, 1911, in the Osage Hills of Oklahoma, it was after he'd robbed the wrong train, and instead of getting hundreds of thousands of dollars as planned, he got $40 and a couple bottles of whiskey, and then he ran away, and then the posse shot him, and he died.
Good criminal. He's good at his job, obviously.
So they took his body to an undertaker who embalmed him, but nobody showed up to claim the body. So the undertaker propped him up in the back room of his shop, Weekend at Bernie's style. I would charge a nickel for people to come have a look at Elmer, billed as the bandit who wouldn't give up. A few years went by, and some people claiming to be Elmer's brothers came and took Elmer from the undertaker, saying they wanted to take him home and give him a decent burial. But they weren't Elmer's brothers, Josh.
Who were they?
They were carnival folk, and they didn't want to bury him, Josh. They wanted to take him on tour with their carnival. And thus began Elmer's career as a traveling corpse.
That's my dream job.
But how did this theory even begin that the mummy found at the Laugh in the Dark Funhouse was the outlaw Elmer McCurdy? Who was even raising this possibility when, by all accounts, nobody at the Pike even knew that the mummy was there? Well, a lot of it came from a guy named David F. Friedman, a prolific B-movie producer and self-described mighty monarch of exploitation. He'd produced a bunch of exploitation movies such as 1963's Blood Feast, sometimes considered the first splatter film, and a bunch of low-budget gems in the 50s, 60s, and 70s with titles like 2000 Maniacs and The Erotic Adventures of Robin Hood. But this is how Friedman said he knew it was Elmer. Friedman's company. You're gonna follow me on this, Josh.
Got it.
Okay, you ready?
Okay.
This is you gotta go with me on this.
All right. Quiz is after, at the end.
No, just getting through the sentence is the test.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. Friedman said that an old partner of his, way back in 1921, had received the embalmed body of a Wild West outlaw, Elmer McCurdy, as collateral for a $500 loan he gave some guy from a traveling carnival. But the loan had never been paid back, so Friedman's old partner got to keep Elmer, and he started touring him around, displaying him in a traveling show called the Museum of Crime. all over the country for years. They'd rent him out to carnivals and sideshows, whoever needed an outlaw mummy. When Friedman partnered up with this guy, he supposedly put Elmer in a couple movies too, though I'm not sure that's true. She-Freak, a loose 1967 remake of the 1930s horror classic Freaks, is the movie most often cited as featuring Elmer, but I have watched She-Freak, and Elmer is not in the movie, which is only one of several problems I had with the picture.
What were some of your other problems?
It's boring.
Okay.
Okay, so in 1968, Friedman's company sold Elmer, along with some dummies that were actually dummies, to the Hollywood Wax Museum, who in turn then sold Elmer, along with some regular wax dummies, to a different wax museum that was then operating at the Pike in Long Beach in the early 70s. Yeah? You got it?
Yeah, I get it.
Elmer, at the time he was sold to the Pike, by the way, was no longer being presented as a Wild West outlaw, but instead had been repackaged as the 5,000-year-old man and was presented as a mummy wrapped in brown gauze. But the Pike Wax Museum, which was privately owned, not owned by the Pike itself, went out of business, kind of in a middle of the night kind of way, and they just left a bunch of their stuff there. And so the Pike people cleaned it up and repurposed what they could, and they ended up using Elmer in the Laugh in the Dark funhouse.
That's good recycling.
Yeah, they stripped him naked, painted him fluorescent red, and hung him from a noose, like you do.
Sure.
And it's very unclear if anyone at that point knew that Elmer was a real person and not a wax dummy. As far as I can tell, nobody working at the funhouse was aware of it. Okay, so that's the basic story that was making the rounds, and this idea that the mummy was an Old West outlaw gained a lot of traction in the press. But they didn't know. They didn't know for sure. It was a good story, but it's not easy to get to the truth, perhaps, when a lot of your sources are carnival folk and exploitation film folk, people who are comfortable with, let's say, tweaking the truth a little for fun. And even if everything that Friedman said checked out, his information only went back to 1921, and Elmer McCurdy died in 1911. How could authorities be sure that this body belonged to Elmer? And they did need to know. People in Oklahoma were starting to call for the return of the body. In fact, the City Council of Guthrie, Oklahoma, home of the Oklahoma Territorial Museum, had started asking for the body to be returned to Oklahoma so they could bury him in their Boot Hill Cemetery, which featured the graves of a number of noted Oklahoma gunfighters. Bill Lehman, spokesman for the Guthrie City Council, told newspapers, quote, "We just feel he should be laid to rest in a Christian manner after 66 years of being bandied about from pillar to post, hung on a gallows, placed on public display, and being a curiosity in a Wild West show." And other people wanted a crack at getting the mummy as well, including the Pike, who apparently asked if it was at all possible to get Elmer back. The Laugh in the Dark ride had tripled its business in the weeks after the discovery of Elmer, and they'd put up a sign that said, "The Mummy's Hangout." So authorities needed a positive ID. Now, meanwhile, at the LA coroner's office, Thomas Noguchi and the gang were trying to determine the body's identity using a little something we call science. Josh, who was Thomas Noguchi?
He was the famous coroner to the stars, who is famous for Natalie Wood?
Yeah, Natalie Wood, and a host of other controversial celebrity deaths. You nailed that one. The Elmer McCurdy story was good, but they had to see if the facts in the case supported the theory. And so Noguchi and his crew set to work on the mummy case. First, they established a rough time frame for the death. Dude had been embalmed using arsenic, a process that had been big during the Civil War, but had been banned around the turn of the century. So that was a clue. Analysis of the mummy's pelvic bones put his estimated age of death somewhere in his mid-30s. Elmer died at 31, so pretty close there. And they were able to determine that he had indeed died of a gunshot wound, and they found a bullet fragment lodged in his hip bone that the LAPD ballistics people said could have only come from a bullet made between 1905 and 1940. And so far, everything they were finding was lining up with press reports of McCurdy's death back in 1911, as well as in his original autopsy. They wanted to look at his fingerprints, but his fingers were gone. They wanted to look at his dental work to see if there was any distinguishing characteristics in there, and they had to pry open his mouth and remove his mandible. And what did they find in his mouth, Josh?
Nothing. Emptiness.
That's right, they found a 1924 penny. Also in his mouth, they found some ticket stubs. One was for the Pike, and another was for, you got it, the Museum of Crime. That was Elmer's old show. This had to be Elmer, right?
Had to be.
And it was, Josh.
I knew it.
But Noguchi still wasn't going to just put the mummy in a big puffy envelope and mail it to Guthrie, Oklahoma. So Noguchi instead mailed them a letter. And I don't know if he used a puffy envelope, but the letter said that the only way he'd release the body to Guthrie was if they sent their own forensic team to confirm the identification and if they agreed to pay for a secure and dignified burial for Elmer. So Oklahoma flew out a team, including an elite osteologist. And by using a painstaking but surprisingly accurate technique called medial superimposition, they were able to line up photos of the mummy's skull with the few death photos of Elmer that existed. And using that technique, they were able to confirm, to Dr. Noguchi's satisfaction, the identity of the mummy. It was Elmer McCurdy. So they sewed his arm back on, and in April 1977, Elmer was released to the Oklahoma Historical Society and flown in the baggage compartment on TWA back to Oklahoma. His plane was met by a throng of reporters. Elmer was buried in Guthrie, Oklahoma under several feet of concrete to dissuade any further monkey business with Elmer's body. But there was further monkey business, Josh.
There always is.
A murder mystery theater started hosting events at Elmer's grave. They won't leave this guy alone.
Yeah.
His headstone reads, Elmer McCurdy, shot by sheriff's posse in Osage Hills on October 7th, 1911. Returned to Guthrie, Oklahoma from Los Angeles County, California for burial April 22nd, 1977. And that's the story of the Pike mummy, Josh.
Wow. Yeah.
Didn't see that coming, huh?
No, I didn't.
Josh, what's our takeaway from this?
That just wait till after you're dead to do your traveling. It's cheaper.
Thanks for being here today, Josh.
You're welcome. It was fun.
It was my pleasure, Josh. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Goodbye.
Up next, we have From the Shelves, where librarians shared their book recommendations and offer a behind-the-scenes look at the work from your public library. This episode features librarian Amy interviewing LBPL Senior Librarian for Collection Services, Hilaire. This is Books and Beyond with LBPL 99.1 KLBP FM, Long Beach.
So let's just dive into it.
All right.
So it sounds to me like you grew up in libraries. Like, how did that happen? What was that like?
My mother is the circulation supervisor at the University of Portland's Wilson Clark Memorial Library, where she's been since a little bit before I was born. I ended up going to an elementary school down the street, and I would spend mornings before school, and then in the afternoons, my mom would walk to come pick me up. We'd go back to her job, and I would hang out in the library. So learning the Dewey Decimal System at school and then being able to come to her library was really cool, because at one point she had me helping her shelve books. I would also help sort them and check them in. The bin was full. In the morning, I'd help her empty it out. It was just really cool. And then as I got older, I actually utilized the library to study. And I had my pick of whatever I wanted to read in the library. And the best part was there was no, oh, well, you can't read that. That's too advanced for you. My mom was like, grab the book. If you can't understand a word, grab a dictionary. And so I am a library kid through and through. So I think it was one of those things when I finally decided to become a librarian, everybody was like, well, duh, you've been part of libraries since you were literally 6 years old.
That's so funny. When did you become a librarian?
I became a librarian, funny enough, right before COVID hit. So I went to my program. I did my program. I started summer of 17, finished at the end of 2018, got a job at a library as a part-time librarian in May of 2019. And just as I was getting into the swing of things, COVID hit, and I was furloughed for an entire year, almost year and a half.
Oh, wow.
Came back in 21 as a part-time librarian, again, working in teen services, which was really fun. I got to put together take and make kits for them, and I did some virtual tutorials with arts and crafts that we were doing. And then the youth services librarian where I was moving. And so October 2021, that's when I became a full-time youth services librarian, and I had a blast. I was doing teen stuff. I was doing story times. I got to do collection development and also, part of management. So I was opening and closing the library, and it's fun. I really enjoy working with the people that come into the library. Everybody isn't the same. You never know what you're going to get, which I think is kind of cool. It's like, the lottery of bingos.
Yeah. It sounds like you dove right in.
Yeah. It was one of those things. I had worked in, I have a strong customer service background. So I was like, I know how to talk to people at the counter. I can help people find stuff. But I really took to programming and collection development. Programming was fun just because I get to interact with the kiddos, especially when we did our Lego club or our crafts program. It's always fun to ask the kids, oh my gosh, well, what do you make? Well, tell me about that. And do they have a name? And what's that right there? And I am a connoisseur of kids' shoes, so whenever I'd see something I like, especially things with lights and wheels, I was like, oh my gosh, those shoes are so cool. And, the typical corny dad joke, do you think those come in my size? And I just had so much fun. And then when it came to collection development, I felt the need to make sure that the collection represented the kids that were coming in my library. Mm-hmm. As a child of the 80s and 90s, I didn't see myself on the shelves a lot. There weren't a lot of books with African American characters or, protagonists, unless it was something about, unfortunately, slavery or something like that. I remember I read Roll Up Thunder, Hear My Cry 3 or 4 times. And great book, don't get me wrong, but I wanted something, you want to see something a little more light where it's not about bears or bunnies. And so I made it my mission, and I charged myself with paying attention to who came into my library, who was coming into my programs, who I saw in the area when I was out and about driving to and from work. And then when I started purchasing books, it was I need to find a book with a little girl with a hijab on, and I need to find a book with a little Asian boy character, and I need to find a book with a child that might be dealing with ADHD or is in a wheelchair. All of those things are everybody in the world. And so I never ever wanted a child or a teen to come into my library and feel like they didn't belong, because that's one of those things. It wasn't done purposefully back then per se. Maybe in publishing, and that's a deeper dive. That's a way deeper dive. But I know that I don't think that the librarian in my school when I was in elementary school wasn't putting out books like that on purpose. It's just because they weren't around. Yeah. And now that they are around, I feel like as librarians, there's no excuse for us not to buy a more colorful and eclectic version of books for the folks that come into our building.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's important to see yourself in books. See ourselves.
Exactly.
In our life.
And it's not even about if the character looks like you. Maybe they're dealing with something you're dealing with, or maybe, they're just kind of quirky, like you might be quirky. I think that's the other thing I need people to realize is not just about the character looking like you. It's who is the character? What are they about? I attached myself to the Babysitter Club when I was younger, because of course that was one of the things besides Sweet Valley High, what was out for us. And I really liked Christy, the main character who started the Babysitters Club, because she was I have this idea. She was a go-getter. Mm-hmm. And she's let's do it. She got her friends together. And I felt a lot of the times I'm still kind of that person with my friends. I'll see something on Instagram, an experience, whether it's a wine tasting or let's try this escape room. Let's go axe throwing. I'm the one who sees the stuff and I'm here's the link, book this day, we're going to do this. And so that's one of those things. I was drawn to a character that didn't look like me, but I felt was like me. And so, yes, that's a different, looking like a character is one thing, but also being able to connect with them on a different level is important.
Excellent. So on that note, if you had to recommend a picture book to a family, to a child, is there one that you'd be oh yeah, this is a great one?
Yes. So actually, since I was a youth services librarian for 3 years, and just in my life in general, picture books have always been one of my favorite types of books to read. A lot of the times, we had this conversation over the weekend where it's it's usually very simple story put forward, but most of them have a very powerful lesson behind them. Mm-hmm. And so I've always been attracted to them, but one of my favorite picture books, I don't think necessarily has such a deep lesson, but it's any of the Skippy John Jones books or Llama Llama. Skippy John Jones he's a little big-headed Siamese, kitten.
Yeah.
And he just has all this energy, and he always wants to role play, and like he wants to be a pirate, and he wants to be a bandito, and he wants to do this and do that. And his mom is like, just be yourself, which I guess is a good lesson, but sometimes it's also nice to like pretend and be something different every once in a while.
Yeah, Llama. I love the drama. Not gonna lie.
Yes, Llama Llama's great, and I met Llama Llama at the Festival of Books in like 2014 or 15. There was Llama Llama was there, and I have a picture with Llama Llama. It was great, and the cat from the Richard Scarry books.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I was like I said, anytime I see characters from those books, like I get super excited, and my friends are always like, "What is it?" I'm like, "That's Llama Llama." Like, how do you not know who they? This was all before they had kids too. Where now my friends have kids, so now they know about Llama Llama and everything. But before it was like, how do you not know who that is? Like, that's Llama Llama. Come on.
So let's see. What about for chapter books for elementary school kids, maybe, or middle school?
So I absolutely love the Warrior series by Aaron Hunter. Again, another the book with cats as the main characters, but these books really do have lessons. And I think, like one of the first books, the cat Firestar, he starts out as a kitty pet, a house pet, and he decides he wants to go out into the forest and see what these, the wild cats are about. And, not to give away anything, but he ends up being kind of like one of the head honchos as the story arcs progress, and he takes on the name Firestar as the leader of the clan. And it's one of those things, he just had to realize who he really was inside. And there were people that, went against him, not people, my bad, cats, who I'm like, yeah, they are not people, who went against him and tried to, take him out, so to speak, and all of this. And his friends, the people that really understood him and was supportive of how he wanted to bring folks together, was like, no, you're not gonna do this. So he overcame a lot of obstacles coming from staying in a house where they made fun of him for, getting his food put on a plate and all this other stuff. He became, the top dog, so to speak, as the cat, which is really cool to me. And I just think it's one of those things, like, it's about believing in yourself. Don't let people detract you from your goals. Find your circle, which is super important. I've always felt like I'm going off topic just a tad bit, but working with teens, like, I always tell people that was one of my favorite groups to work with, because I remember being like 6th through 11th grade, 12th grade, and just like, it's sometimes being like, who am I? Like, what, like, it was angsty. It was angsty. And I always joke that I feed off the angst that teenagers emit, but it's not even, it's just because I guess, like, even as an adult, sometimes I still get it.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I'm like, I go into situations and I'm like, well, I don't really know anybody. Even starting here at Longbeach Public Library.
Right.
I came in and I was like, I am an outsider. Like, everybody had their friends and their favorite coworkers, and everybody did their little lunch things. And I was just like, I guess I'm just gonna, sit here and eat my lunch, and maybe somebody will talk to me. And I mean, obviously now it's different, because it's actually a pretty warm, welcoming environment. I just had to like find my niche and everything and just get my footing in what I was doing. But yeah, when you enter new situations or you join a new group, there's always that, like, am I gonna fit in? Are they gonna like me? And so that's why, long story short, I like the Warrior series. Firestar is my favorite.
Yeah.
To move throughout the different story arcs. He's a very prominent character, and I like to think sometimes, I'm someone who people haven't always believed in when I say I'm going to do something, and it may take a little longer than you may think, but like, I still get it done, and then I'm like, haha, I did it.
It's like it.
And it might be a little scary, but sometimes it's okay to be scared. I mean, not sometimes. It's definitely okay to be scared.
Yeah.
Like, that is one of those things that is not, it's not showing weakness. It's an emotion. Like, you get scared. You're not sure what's going to happen next. But it's also important, have those people, have your circle around you, have your support system. And he had one of those, and it definitely showed.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, moving into young adult books. What do you recommend? I know this is tough because you love that literature.
It really is. So I'm going to go very, very corny on this one. But I'm a huge Twilight fan, I must admit. Twilight, like I'll sit and watch the movies anytime they're on. I've read the books, I've listened to the audiobooks, like I'm a huge fan. But as you know, I kind of move away from that. A lot of the stuff I read actually is like, I guess, romanticy YA style. Like I like the elves and the fae, and then you've got your vampires and your werewolves. Like I love all that kind of stuff. And so the other series I really liked was the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I enjoyed that so much. Now, it was another kind of story of like a main character not really fitting where she was and finding out something about herself and then like owning it and becoming like, you know, the fierce leader warrior that was inside of her all along. So that's the kind of stuff I like to read.
I sense a theme.
Yeah, no, just a little bit.
All right, and then moving into adults.
So my all-time favorite adult book is The Color Purple. It's a book I read when I was probably 12 or 13. Another thing, it was like, well, there wasn't a lot of stuff directed towards me, but my parents were like, sure. Side note, that was the other great thing growing up, reading in my household, that I wasn't censored. Yeah. There wasn't anything my parents were like, no, you can't read that. Because in middle school, my friends and I were reading V.C. Andrews. I was reading Stephen King. I was reading John Grisham, Dean Koontz, Toni Morrison. I was reading anything I can get my hands on. Like, that's what it was. But The Color Purple was another one of those books. It just spoke to me, like the thought of like sisterhood, and again, finding people who know and understand you. Yeah. They may not always agree with you, but they're there for you and help you through your decisions. And then, you know, with Celia and her sister, like finding that long lost connection, like that's what she needed to make her complete. And it was another one of those things, like, yes, it definitely was during a time when there was still a lot of racial injustice, and like that was at the very deep heart of it. But I think it was also just a focus on women's relationships as well, and how important they are to us, no matter what color skin you have or age you are or background. It's important to have those connections, because those are the people that are more than likely going to help you get through what you're going through.
So, and what are you reading now?
So, I've gotten a little bit back into my true crime groove, and I started reading, so it's Murderland, Crime and Bloodlust in the Time of Serial Killers by Caroline Fraser. And I'm listening to the audiobook version. I know, creepy, but it was interesting to me because it focuses on the Pacific Northwest, which is where I'm from, and the lead and arsenic poisoning that came from some of the smelting sites, like the factories and everything. And then she started talking about Ted Bundy, which I don't know how to say this. I don't want to say he's like my favorite serial killer, but he's one of the ones I find most interesting. And I think it's because he's from not far from where I, grew up, Vancouver, Washington, but still I'm Portland, Oregon. It's not much of a difference. And, at some point he was in Utah and Colorado and Florida. Like, he was kind of all over the place. And funny enough, that's one of the kind of the first ones I remember hearing about as a kid, watching the news with my parents and grandparents. So when I saw the book, I was like, okay, I have to check this out. So I just read that one. I actually just finished it. And then I'm also reading a Nightwing graphic novel. And he has broken off from Batman and gone to Bloodhaven, which is across from Gotham, like just north of Gotham. And so he is branching off on his own and starting his own journey. And Nightwing is he's my favorite. It's one of those things. I seem to have things with characters who feel the need to prove themselves. And so Nightwing is always like, interesting. I know, right? Nightwing he's always been one of my favorites because, he started out as a kid under Batman, and he was flying Graysons with his parents. And then, his parents were murdered and Batman took him in, and he's finally like realizing that he appreciates everything that Batman did for him, but he wants to spread his own wings. I know, cheesy, so to speak, but that's what he's now going off to do. And so it's really fun. I enjoy it.
Thank you so much, Hilaire.
You're welcome. This was fun.
Hey there, Long Beach. You're tuned in to Library Event Spotlight, the place for all things happening at your local library. I'm Jackie, and I'm here to bring you the best of books, community, and creativity. So let's dive into what's coming up this January 2026 in the new year. Oh, but first let's celebrate how we ended 2025. Our New Year's Eve celebrations were a joyful success across the city. Families gathered at branches to ring in the new year early with crafts, music, countdowns from disco dancing at Brewitt to pajama crafts at Hart. It was the perfect way to welcome 2026 with community and cheer. Thank you to everyone who joined us. So let's get right into it. On January 8th, we have a full day of fun throughout the library system. Start the day at 11 a.m. with a toddler story time at El Dorado Library, stories, songs, and activities for ages 9 months to 3 years. No registration needed, just show up. At 2 p.m., we'll have Lego Club at Burnett Library, where kids can build, create, and share their Lego masterpieces, también en español. And then at 4:30 p.m., we have Art Lab with Longbeach Museum of Art at the Billie Jean King Main Library, where kids ages 6 through 12 can explore process-based art in collaboration with the Longbeach Museum of Art, drop in, and get creative. Also, can you believe it, on January 8th, we will be having our Writing the Fires poetry workshop for teens at Hart Library from 4:30 to 6:30. Teens aged 13 through 18 can explore poetry inspired by the wildfires and climate change. No experience is necessary. Just bring your voice. Registration is encouraged. All workshops are 2 hours. You can check for times for the following workshops and more details on our library website. We'll be also having January 15th at Michelle Obama, on January 17th at Burnett Library, on January 20th at El Dorado, and we'll finish out the month on January 31st back at Billie Jean King Main Library for these really inspirational poetry workshops that is part of the Youth Poet Laureate program in the city of Long Beach. Then, Saturday, January 10th, join us at Brewitt Library for Bark. Kids ages 5 and up can practice reading aloud to certified therapy dogs in a fun and supportive environment. It's adorable and educational. Then let's move on to Thursdays in January. We're going to be having Fiber Club at Billie Jean King Main Library on Thursdays from 5:30 to 6:30. This is a crafting meetup for teens and emerging adults. You're invited to join our cozy crafting circle where creativity and community come together, one stitch at a time. Bring your own projects or start a project guided by one of our staff members. Again, all experience levels are welcome. Fiber Club is open to kids 13 and up. And then when we come back in February, we'll be telling you all about the great events we'll have celebrating Black History Month in the library. So make sure you come back and find out what's happening in February. That's a wrap on your January 2026 library lineup. Whether you're reading to a furry friend, crafting with new pals, or finding your poetic voice, there's something for everyone at your local Long Beach Public Library.
That brings us to the end of today's episode of Books and Beyond with LBPL. Thank you for spending your time with us and supporting the Long Beach Public Library on 99.1 KLBP FM Long Beach.